All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to part 2 of Dota Radio Morning Show, episode number 12. We do have the biggest guest we've yet to have here, Cyborgmatt, joining us. He is on the line. Matt, how are you today, sir?
Hi guys, thanks for having me on. I'm a bit tired. I'm busy working with the blog post for the patch all day yesterday and carrying on today. It's bloody big. It's
Yeah,
a big patch.
it is a big patch, and we know you're a busy man, so believe me, the pleasure is ours. Thank you so much for being here. First of all, for the handful of people out there that may have stumbled upon this and don't know exactly who you are or why you're so important, give us kind of a summary. What do you do? What is your involvement with Dota?
So in the past couple of years, it's basically been kind of looking after the community, breaking down every update that comes out for the game, going into quite a lot of detail, all the behind the scenes changes, and the potential, what heroes we got coming up, and making predictions, and just generally helping out in the community, doing all sorts of bits and bats, helping the pro scene, the community, the teams, anyone really.
All right. And one of the things that I've seen posted around, and I think you've publicly announced many a time, and it may be good to reiterate here, are you officially a Valve employee, or are you just one of those community guys that steps up to the plate and inevitably works with Valve on occasion, but are you actually a Valve employee?
No, I don't work with Valve. In fact, I recently just started a new job with CBS Interactive, working for a site called OnGamers, which is where all my content is now posted, and as well as the patches for Dota 2 and everything that I usually cover. We're also covering quite a lot of esports news now across many titles. Basically, the site is covering if there's a game out there, it's nice and popular, and it's got a potential for esports, then it'll be covered, and it brings it all into one hub basically.
Yeah, yeah. So talk to us about the OnGamers project in a little more detail. Project might not be the best word, but what makes this site different? And a lot of people, when we first announced it, when it first kind of broke, were saying, "All right, great, another esports journalism site. There are a dime a dozen. There's thousands of them out, not thousands. There's a whole bunch of them out there that aren't so good." What makes OnGamers different from all those other esports journalism sites?
Well, I mean, for starters, it's a site powered by the help of CBS Interactive. That's a huge network, a huge company. Sites like Giant Bomb, GameSpot, GameFAQ. So there's a big network behind it. So you're guaranteed to get quality coverage across all the titles, and just basically, it guarantees that we're going to be at all the events, covering the game in depth. And not just Dota 2, StarCraft 2, CSGO, League of Legends, of course, and any other title across there. Sorry, mine's is a bit poor, but I'm really tired this morning. Basically, I know there's been a lot of similar sites, but I don't think there's been one of this scale. This team of people and this kind of scale. I don't think we've seen that yet. And obviously, it's a new project. We're still in beta, and we're still testing out new things. But so far,
Right.
first response has been really nice, and people have really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have been churning out an absurd amount of content because it feels like just yesterday the site went live, and already, I mean, the amount of articles, videos that have been posted, and I had the same reaction when I first saw the roster of folks that you guys had assembled. It is pretty much an all-star lineup. I mean, you guys have some of the best talent in the industry, combining all those Giant Bomb as well as GameSpot, as you mentioned. Pretty exciting, and you guys have been living up to it so far. Hopefully it continues. What are the plans for MLG Columbus? Are you going to be there gathering content and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, OnGamers is going to be there, covering the entire event. Hooking up interviews with the players, covering the event in depth. I mean, that's one thing we can guarantee is pretty much, if you look at the site, you got all your articles, but also a big chunk of the site is also video content. And especially in this day and age where everything's moving forward, everyone wants to be watching stuff on their phone, on the go. Video content is really important. So we will be, we'll have a bunch of interviews with all the players at MLG Columbus, including the MLG staff, and just in terms of MLG Columbus itself, it's going to be such a big event.
Yeah.
I mean, with the prize pool easily creeping towards $110,000 already,
Hmm.
and the fact that all the teams attending Columbus are getting a part of that prize pool is really good to see.
Yeah,
Because in the day,
absolutely.
those teams have they've earned their way there, so
Yeah,
it's gonna be it's the scale of that event is almost like a mini international now. I mean,
yeah,
we don't have as many Eastern teams there. We've got Team DK there, which is obviously one of the big Eastern teams.
right.
But for America itself, an event of this size is it's really nice to see because
Yeah.
for the moment it's been like Starladder, DreamHack, and all those have been European based.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm beyond excited to have an event of this scale here, somewhere other than Seattle. I mean, the TI is great, but it's nice to have something that isn't the official Valve tournament happening in North America. On the note of those teams, we've been asking a lot of players and such about their predictions going into the tournament. Who do you think is going to make the top three? And as kind of an addendum, how do you think DK are going to fare as the only Asian team there? Do you think they're going to kind of blow the other teams out of the water, or do you think DK is going to struggle a little bit? The clash of the metas is going to be really interesting, and I have high hopes for DK, but how do you think they're going to fare?
I'm actually a bit worried about if this was 6.78, I would say Team DK all the way, but 6.79 has proved really difficult for Team DK to adapt to, and they've had troubles with their drafting in this new version, and they just seem to be a bit slow at reacting to the changes and just actually getting on board with the new meta,
Hmm.
which again it's another skill set that these teams need anyway. So, um, you know, yeah, you can be the best team in the world, but if you struggle to adapt to patches changes like that, then obviously
Right.
you're going to suffer.
Yeah.
Whereas someone like Alliance, well, Navi, obviously a bit more better at adapting to changes. I mean,
Right.
that's DK's biggest issue at the moment has been 6.79.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, you're spot on with that. Ever since the patch hit, they don't seem to be quite as strong as they were for sure. So I'm really curious about how they're going to fare. I hope they can make it into the top three. I want to see DK go far. I want to see just how they fare. It's rare we get to see Chinese teams mixed with European teams mixed with North American teams all in the same place. So it will be a fascinating event to say the least. And it's coming up, man. It's blowing my mind how quickly that event is approaching here. So just less than 2 weeks away, coming up soon. So talk to us about this recent patch. That's really the topic of this episode. Let's start with Diretide. What is the official Cyborgmatt take on Diretide and the outcry of Reddit and the other bits of the community that were just furious and appalled and shocked that Valve did not do a Diretide this year?
Um, Diretide's interesting because it's a very different game mode from what Dota actually is,
Hmm.
and it's kind of interesting to see that just there is this huge demand for something that isn't Dota. I think myself and Valve both unexpected, not to expect it to be that scale. People went a bit insane. Now, whether that's just because they want to the game mode where they can farm items or whatever, that might be the case, but there are people out there who generally enjoy Dietide. I do enjoy playing it. It's very different from Dota, but it's not like super serious or anything like that. I know some people do try and treat it super serious, but
Yeah.
end of the day, this is just a fun little game mode. It's only going to be here for a little while,
Yep.
and it just
Few
ties in with
weeks.
the rest of the update, really. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you think that there is an issue with Valve's level of communication on this front? That's the big thing that people wanted me to ask about. Do you think Valve should have been more communicative about, first of all, Diretide not coming, and then sort of replying to the Reddit demand? Like, is it a good precedent for Valve to set that, all right, if Reddit makes a big enough outcry, we'll cave and we will put in Diretide? Do you think that was the right call, or do you think Valve should have just said, no, we're going to stick to our guns. We didn't want to do Diretide. We're not going to do it. Sorry. I don't know. What's your take on all that kind of stuff?
Communication has always been an aspect that Valve have kind of lacked. Not just in Dota 2 across all their titles.
Hmm.
I think with Dota 2, it's a little bit different because the community is so big and ongoing that it's kind of like a new venture for themselves. I mean, I know Team Fortress 2 and all the other back catalogs have been really successful, but just the scale of Dota 2 and how high and the numbers can get. I mean, this we saw since the patch, 650,000 people peak, That's a lot of people.
That is
And
a
those
lot of
numbers
people.
don't include China and Korea, so they're even higher than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of communication, I think there is some kind of issue there. Whether they'll ever address that, that's obviously down to them. But as you can see, it goes both ways. I mean, yeah, the community reacting for lack of communication was, called for, but the way they did it was just completely out of order. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. It's I don't know, the Diretide thing. I was just shocked that so many people were upset about it. It's one of those things I'm just apathetic about. Like, yeah, Diretide, it's cool if you want it, it's cool if you don't. I wouldn't have thought twice, unless there was that huge
it's
outcry.
if you look at the lead up, people, if you look at after the international and before Halloween, all people complained about was heroes. So the focus changes to heroes, and then all of a sudden, people are crazy for a fun little temporary game mode. You got to remember, Dietide is only here for a little while. It's always going to be a temporary game mode. When bigger things are in the works, and the fact that Dietide was a year old, it was very broken. A lot of the assets were missing, some of the phase timers, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that needed fixing, basically. So, and that on top of the build up to Halloween, there was actually we didn't actually get any Halloween content in the patches. Like nothing hinted to a game mode was coming or anything like that.
Yeah.
Um,
The only
the only
thing,
hints we had were just bigger things in the works.
yeah, there was that one post about I think it said annual on that one little tooltip
Yeah.
somewhere, and that was like the only little thing that people had to hold over. You said annual, and it's like, all right, yeah,
Yeah.
it did say annual. That is keen
Yeah, I mean
reading.
that was on a web page from a year ago.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's not quite
it probably, in looking back, they probably wanted it to be annual, but
right.
when they were working on a bigger update, like the Free Spirit update, um, their priority decided to lean towards that rather than a temporary game mode.
Right. Yeah, I can understand that for sure. Talk to us about this crafting and socketing thing. What's your take on now really making this? For a while, items were just items. You get them randomly in playing games. You get them from spectating games, and that's it. And this market is just boomed with people trading items, selling items, betting items, all that kind of stuff. This really takes it to the next level because now you can craft. I still stand by my Herodric Cube reference. I think that's the best way to kind of explain the way that the crafting and socketing are working. Do you think it's good? As Charlie had mentioned, do you think it's good now to give people something else to keep them enthralled with Dota 2 that isn't just playing the game, or do you think it's too much, too convoluted? What are your thoughts about crafting?
No, I think it's a nice addition. I mean, it's not really new for a Valve game because these kind of recipes and crafting have already been introduced in Tier 2 and even CSGO to some point, where you take a bunch of existing items that you maybe not want and you throw them into a recipe and pump out a new item or something of a higher rarity. It adds a lot more unique things. So one of the Diretide things this year is that if you get a special Halloween Jack recipe, you can start making the pumpkin courier, and you almost turn into like a service to the community. So like you could become essentially like a little factory, like where you have this pretty unique recipe where people, is in demand, and you can start making these items and then sell them on the marketplace, and it's another area where players can potentially make a little bit of money off the game,
That's true.
especially with the introduction of the marketplace. The marketplace actually does really well in all titles, that have the economy aspect attached to them.
Yeah.
And in terms of the socketing, this makes the unusual careers a lot better, basically, with the side effect of all these other gems. But specifically the unusual careers, you can actually take the effect, take whatever color gem you want, and then start mixing and matching. So the actual possibilities of customizing things grows increasingly. And the strange gem. So basically, we no longer have strange items. Basically,
Right.
they're inscribed. So, and there's a whole bunch. This patch added it doubled, almost tripled the amount of different strange trackers they have now.
Oh wow.
So, and the fact that you can put it on whatever item you want is the big key there, because, oh, you're right, I have this nice little beard for Furion that can track how many trees I make, but I'm never going to use this because it doesn't match, whatever I'm wearing or whatever. So the fact that you can now take it out and put it in whatever item you want, it just gives the player a lot more control of their items, and I think it's for the better. I think people will like it.
Yeah. It seems like
It should go down well.
Once I get a handle on all of it, have like kinetic gems and stride gems, ethereal gems, prismatic, ascendant, autograph. It's just like Jesus. That is. Once I swallow all the information, it'll be.
When
good.
you look at it in the list, it's kind of overwhelming. But
Yeah.
I mean, my post should be up later today, and once that goes up, it should make things a little bit more easier.
Yeah.
It's not as complicated as it looks.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Is
reckon
it as complicated as the Roshan timer?
Oh God. Seriously, what is the deal with that Roshan timer? Like, does it have to be that complicated? Like, I just want a number. I just want a digital clock that tells me exactly when he's coming up. You know?
You can't, because of the aspect of stream delays, and most streams run on a 2-3 minute delay. You can't. You need to hide that last stage of the Roshan respawning, or else players are going to know instantly. Okay, this is me saying that some teams are going to stream cheat here, but I mean, there's no guarantee that it would be too easy if as soon as Roshan died, a big clock popped up and said this is exactly when he's going to respawn.
Okay.
And the fact that it's now randomized, it needs to be protected, or else you got to have the tournament streams running on like a 10-minute delay, if not longer, and it's just not feasible.
Okay.
So this way you break down the first stage, so it's you get your set standard stage, and then the last part is randomized and hidden until the end.
Wow.
Okay, it could have been. It's if it's confusing enough where it would needed a guide, then obviously something's gone wrong somewhere. But
yeah,
when you look at it first, I thought it would be pretty telling.
Yeah.
But it seems to confuse a lot of people. So
I mean, I sort of I understand how it works. It's just my problem is the old timer I used to be able to just mouse over it very quickly, be like, okay, Roche will be up in about a minute and a half. Do that mental math in my head. Now I have to look at it and I have to pause there for a second or 5 seconds, sometimes even longer, and go, okay, so how many dots are there? That correlates to how many? Okay, so that's a minute plus. Like, it's just I have to think about it too hard.
You still get your little pop-out sliders that give you the
Yes.
exact time.
Yeah, that's exactly
So I mean,
right.
if you don't want to glance and look
The
at it,
crutch I rely on.
I just
then
wish we
you
could
like
bring
the
that thing out anytime. Like
Yeah.
hotkey for that would be really nice. Same with the Aegis despawn.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is a good point about the timer, though. It needs to be a little hidden. With the stream delay, I always think about wards. That's the big thing that stream delay is really useful for. But you're absolutely right about the Roshan timer. I hadn't thought about that level of simplicity makes the potential of stream sniping that much more effective. So that's a fair point, sir. I concede to that. So let's talk a little more macroscopically here. For Dota right now, there's been kind of a scheduling crisis, if you will. We've never had this much tournament saturation with big tournaments, a lot of money on the line. We're at the point now where there are too many tournaments and not enough top-tier teams. Teams like Navi and Alliance aren't able to play in every single tournament that they want to. We're seeing kind of an increase in, I wouldn't say walkovers, but an increase in the friction between teams and scheduling and time zones and, having to reschedule matches. I guess, first of all, do you think that that's somebody's having a seizure? That's a significant problem right now, or and if it is, how can we begin to remedy that problem?
I mean, this eventually happens when you start having all these online tournaments. Things start really small, scale is really small, prize pool's pretty small, and then eventually get to a stage where we are now, where we have quite a lot of online tournaments. Some have decent prize pools, and I think it's just a case of the teams picking, picking smartly. And these tournaments, if the teams start saying, well, no, actually, your prize pool's not big enough for us, and we don't have time to fit all these tournaments in, then it's going to force these tournaments to look for increasing revenues, increasing prize pools basically, in order to attract the teams.
So. It sort of sounds to me like you're saying that Adam Smith invisible hand of the free market will kind of work itself out, and that competition will force some tournaments to be bigger, and those bigger tournaments will have the bigger teams, and we'll just have that kind of tier of tournaments, and throughout time it'll kind of work itself out. Is that kind of a fair paraphrase?
I mean, these kind of situations do tend to resolve themselves by forcing a bit more competition against the organizers. And the rate these tickets are selling and how successful things have been, there is more room there for an increased prize pool on some of these tournaments.
Yeah. Do you think tournaments
So
paying teams a small salary on top of the prize pool, like say, all right, we'll pay every team that participates, $1,000 for 1 month worth of your time for whatever 30 matches, and then there's a $50,000 or $60,000 prize pool? Do you think that can help remedy this issue? And do you think that
yeah,
approach is good?
there's plenty of different approaches they can take, whether it's paying a little bonus for each victory or paying for attendance.
Right.
And some tournaments already do that. You just don't know it's happening.
Right.
The Dream League with DreamHack, they're doing all these little bonuses for the teams, and obviously you don't know all the full details. They don't really get released to public, but
Sure.
it's tournaments are already doing this anyway in order to make sure that they get the best teams they want there and make them appealing. End of the day, you need to competition's always good. I think.
Yeah.
It always helps improve things. So, and that's just another case, another pure example of that here.
Yeah, and you mentioned ticket sales kind of going through the roof right now. There is a lot of monetization happening. What are your thoughts about the prices of the in-game content have just sort of generally on average been going up? Ticket prices, item prices, all the cosmetics, everything is slowly getting more expensive. Do you see that as an issue? Do you think that we're getting close to that point where stuff is too expensive? Are prices going to continue to rise? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it varies. There's a lot of if you look at this recent patch, there's some really the new Death Prophet set's really cheap, and some sets are still really cheap. The more expensive ones in this patch are the Pro Gear ones because the pro players are attached to those. They want to make a bit more revenue off that item. End of the day, these tournaments will. When you see a Dota TV ticket and it's bundled with a courier and it's say for instance it's $10, they want to charge $10 for that ticket anyway, with or without the courier. The courier is just there to help it sell at that price.
Right.
Some tournament organizers believe that's what they need there in order to help it sell at a higher price. But at the end of the day, that's the price these tournament organizers and sponsors want to run the tickets at anyway, with or without the item.
I see.
So whether the addition of the item is going to increase it is not really a question at the moment, because that's the price they want to charge anyway.
Okay. So
think of it as this item set, this courier, whatever is what you're getting as a little bonus. Basically.
All right, that's an interesting way to think about it, because I'm one that I don't really care about HUDs or couriers all that much. For me, I want my tickets to be as cheap as possible because I like to buy a lot of tickets. Do you think what do you think is kind of the ideal price point for tickets? If you had to pick, if Cyborgmatt was in charge of setting tournament ticket prices, what do you think is a good price point? Obviously, it varies based on matches and stuff.
There's so many variables, like what teams are attending, how long the tournament is, and how many matches you're going to get on that ticket, and how big the prize pool is itself. I mean, there's plenty of variables there, so you can't really say this is the sweet spot.
Yeah.
And it varies for everyone as well. I mean, in terms of how much they're willing to spend on a ticket, and how a tournament sees things as well. But I mean, with these changes recently, with the new crafting recipes and stuff like that, I mean, if you net yourself a really nice recipe and start producing some nice items, stick them up on the marketplace, and in no time you'll have money in your Steam wallet to afford a ticket anyway.
Yeah, true enough. That's definitely true.
Which a number of people already do anyway with stuff like, I know the crates in CSGO go for quite a ridiculous amount, enough to buy themselves like a ticket into the next set tournament maps and everything like that.
I'm still blown away by the demand for these digital goods. If 10 years ago someone had told me that this is the future and Dota would be free because there's all this money coming in and surrounding the game based on just trading and crafting all these items, I wouldn't have believed it. I never would have thought the demand would be this high. People would be going this crazy over purely digital goods. But we're in the digital age, man. I just couldn't have been more wrong on that one. So we're getting close to the end here. Again, we do want to thank you for your time. On a macroscopic perspective, what do you think are going to be the biggest problems facing Dota in the upcoming months, upcoming years, as things continue to grow, we get more people around the game, more money involved? What are your fears going forward?
I'd say the less fears, the more just uncertainty, like how big this game is going to get, especially with the release in China and Korea, and those numbers are already looking insane. It's just a case of, I mean, the game is always going to be updated from Valve's point of view. They're always going to, we're always going to get these big content patches now, and we'll continue to get the heroes we're missing. In between these big patches, we'll get the usual small patches with the bug fixes and maybe the tournament tickets and stuff like that. But we are away now from the stage where it's, I expect a hero every week. That was basically back when the game was still heavily in development, and obviously bigger team of people and different priorities, and expanding that hero pool was the main issue then. I mean, obviously we still are getting a lot of new heroes. In this patch, we saw materials for Oracle, Pit Lord, so all those heroes are still being worked on in the background.
Right.
It's just that don't expect a hero every week, basically. Expect these more large scale. We had the First Blood patch, we now have the Free Spirit patch. Expect these kind of big content patches, every couple months or so, and with the little patches in between.
Yeah.
So in terms of worries for the future, I mean, there's not too many besides the game just scaling with its own demand. The servers increasing, and well, that's always going on anyway. And the game has built in. So if you're a new player when you want to play the game, you're new to Dota 2 and you don't have the game yet. If your region's overloaded, you'll be put into a queue anyway until the servers can take you on board. Because that is definitely, if we run into server issues, then that's going to be the only issue I can think of, really. Other than that, I don't really have any fears for the future of Dota 2. If anything, I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. All right, well, that's good. That makes me feel good. When in doubt, just remember that Cyborgmatt is not worried about the future. So, last question. Star Trek, are you a Next Generation guy?
Yeah, next gen.
Yes, I knew it. I listened to a few interviews, and I just knew it right away. Awesome. Chris, Charlie, anything you want to chime in with here?
I got nothing, man. I think I chimed in when I did have something.
All right. Charlie, you're solid. Charlie might still be having... Fucked. So, Matt, again, thank you so much for your time. Folks, make sure you do check him out at ongamers.com. I know several people asked me to ask when your next article is going to be up, and as you said a few times here, you're working on it. Should be up today, so that's great news. Of course, make sure you follow him on Twitter at Cyborgmatt. It's on the overlays here. But any shout-outs or any closing words, man? The floor is yours.
Yeah, no problem. Just a quick shout out to you guys having me on here and just running this show. I mean, and this is kind of like a really interesting new concept. It's something that the Dota 2 community really doesn't have right now, this little modern radio show. So, keep up the good work. I like what I see.
Oh, thank you so much. You have no idea how much that means from someone that high profile, man. Really appreciate it. So that's it, guys. That pretty much wraps up today. Matt, you're welcome to scoot out of here. I know you've got a lot of work to do. We're gonna wrap up pretty quickly here. Again, thanks a lot, man. You are the hero that Dota deserves, as I have you labeled here.
All right, have fun, guys. See ya.
Take care. So that actually does come close to wrapping us up today, guys. Our closing thoughts. Wow, what a great interview. What a nice guy. I'm wow, just busting with excitement. Lo and behold, Chris, I was a little grumpy when we started, and now I'm busting with positivity.
I told you every time. You're like, oh, this isn't gonna be a great day, and then I'm like, dude, just chill. We have a great guest coming on, and look at that, Cyborgmatt helping us out. Thank you again, Matt. I really enjoyed that interview, even though I wasn't really participating in it.
So those guys, man, just a wealth of knowledge. I feel like it's one of those guys I could just sit down and, time willing, and just pick his brain all day. Get a few drinks going, and oh man, the options are limitless. So, are you guys on a strict schedule today? I'm in the mood for a little Q&A. It's Friday. Let's do another 5 minutes here. See if we can field a couple of good random questions, guys. In chat, Twitch chat, this is your opportunity. Open Q&A. If you post something good, something frisky, we'll try and answer it. This is your opportunity. We don't do it every so often. I know y'all got some questions for Charlie, so do it to it. Wow, MLG Columbus, less than a week away. Today is actually it will be starting exactly a week from today. So this time next week we'll be knee deep in Dota content, man. Makes me so happy. Someone said, would you like to do a collaboration with Dota Radio and OnGamers? Sure, but I think that would be a pretty one-sided exchange. I don't know how much we have to offer OnGamers. I think we'd be benefiting a bit more, but like I said, techies. I wanted to ask him about techies. That is one thing I forgot to ask about. Will techies ever come to Dota 2?
God, I hope so.
Oh, you're a
I'm one of
Techies
those.
fan.
I'm one of those bad people who actually really likes techies, and Charlie might give me a hashtag fuck techies after this, but I don't know, man.
I
I think the hero has actually. I mean, he has a storied history of making pub games fucking miserable. I don't disagree with that, but I've seen like he's been picked very occasionally, like once in a blue moon in pro play, usually in like Pinoy Dota or something, in like really hard push strats because the mines are oh god, I think they're composite damage, maybe they're physical damage. I can't quite remember. Um, I'm not as up on my techies mechanics as I am on most of my stuff, but basically, if you drop the regular mines, like the land mines, next to a tower, and then something blows them up, the tower will take damage from them. So you can use him in these like ridiculous fast push strats, and it's actually really awesome. But
Yeah.
no one takes advantage of that in pub games. It's like, oh, I'm gonna mine every ramp, and you're gonna fucking hate me for it.
I
Oh,
hate
God.
techies. Oh god. Charlie, I saw a good question in here for you. Pizza. Do you go? Wait, how did they word it? Do you go? Do you fold it or do you go just all straight up, man? Do you bend the crust? Are you a crust bender?
It depends on how big it is.
So it's about size.
It's all about size.
So the larger the size, the more likely you are to fold the back.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, I am.
fair enough.
And I'm not. And about techies, I'm ambivalent. I'm not a fuck techies guy. I mean, I think, I mean, I've seen some people like do some crazy stuff on that hero and completely wreck games. So no, I'm not a fuck techies guy. I think
All right.
he has, I mean, he has uses.
Yeah, he's
Hand
interesting.
grenade strat.
Yeah.
Hand grenade strat. Tiny techies. It's too much fun.
Oh, man. So someone in chat says, did you have interviews with other Dota persons? I'm here for the first time. Absolutely. That is a great question. That's one of the best questions we've had to field here, and I'll show you what's going on. If you go over here, let's show the screen grab. This is Dota Radio website. Go over to dotaradio.com. Whenever we're live, you've got the audio-only embed here. You can toggle the Twitch stream. Look at that. It'll pop right up. Oh, it's beautiful. Click on Morning Show over here, and you've got every episode archived with a show hide toggle where you can see both parts. The audio-only download, you can download it. You can play it in a new window, or you can play it here. You can subscribe on iTunes. It's going to ask you if you want to launch on iTunes. That's awesome. You can get the podcast feed straight into whatever podcast player you like. Oh, the options are limitless. We interviewed No Tail, we interviewed Pyrian Flax, The Fucking Mad, Owie 2000, an array of other people. Oh man. What shampoo do I use for the care of my magnificent hair? I actually have a mini bottle of it right around here. Oh, I thought I did. I dropped it this morning. Maybe not. I use Dr. Bronner's all organic shampoo. What kind of shampoo do you use, Chris?
I use Paul Mitchell Tea Tree for my luxurious locks.
Ooh, tea tree. How about you, Charlie? You strike me as a Pantene kind of guy.
I actually don't know what kind of. I'm not a picky guy.
Yeah.
I just get shampoo and I use it.
Dr. Bronner's right here. It's the good stuff. It's the 18-in-1 hemp lavender pure castle soap made with organic oils. It's the good stuff, I'm telling you. Just strips your hair down to the oils, leaves you with nothing but straight hair. Residue free. It's good stuff, I'm telling you. And the other good thing about Dr. Bronner's is you can use it as regular soap too. One and done. That's what I'm all about. So, I think that's it, guys. Let's wrap it up here. I'm pumped up. I don't know what we're going to do Monday. We wanted to have someone from MLG on to talk about everything exciting about MLG. I don't know if we'll be able to line that up. We were planning on doing that today, and the reason I said we might not be able to is because they go many days early to start prepping the event. So, I don't know. Charlie, any thoughts? Is it going to be... There's got to be somebody in the office that will come talk about MLG with us, huh?
Yeah, probably.
Probably. Maybe we can make it happen. We'll try our best. Remember, guys, you can always write into us here. Any ideas for show topics, any questions, comments, concerns, hate mail, love mail, anything you got. morningshow@dotaradio.com. That is the official email address, morningshow@dotaradio.com. And that portal that we just showed off is accessible at dotaradio.com/morningshow. Make sure you follow all of our hosts on their Twitters. I am at ZayoriTV. We've got at Monolith Dota and at HippieCasting. Very exciting. So I'm busting with excitement that we finally completed our first month of Dota Radio morning show action. So without any further ado, guys, I think that does wrap us up. Monday, 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. That's when you'll catch the morning show. If you're a new viewer here and came in just for Cyborgmatt, go check out our archive. A lot of interesting content we were able to do earlier this week. This has by far been, I think, the best week of content we've produced. No Tail fucking Mad and Cyborgmatt in 1 week. Oh, God damn, that makes me hard just thinking about it. We'll see you guys on Monday. Huh?
Can I steal the platform for
Chris,
just
do it.
2 seconds here?
Take it.
2 seconds here. I'm going to shamelessly self-promote a little bit here. I will, in fact, be running Stream 3 for MLG Columbus next weekend. Please come and check it out. I love you guys. I'm incredibly excited to do this, and I would love to have you guys watching the stream. I'll be doing it with clairvoyance, so I have somebody who, you know, I fancy myself an analyst. I don't fancy myself as good at that as clairvoyance is, so I'll have someone to answer all of the questions I can't answer. It'll be a very good time, and I do want to see you guys there. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. We'll see you Monday, 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time.